There are moments, rare moments, when time itself seems to pause, not because the world has stopped, but because something greater has stepped in front of your path. This right here is one of those moments, and you need to understand something before you go any further. This is not random. This is not just another video, another message, another voice passing through your day. No, this is a divine interruption. He is watching, not in fear but in awareness. And he sees that your scroll slowed down right here. He sees that your attention locked in, even if you don't fully understand why. That hesitation, that pause, that feeling that something inside you just whispered, "Wait, listen to this." That was not your imagination. That was alignment. That was timing. That was heaven reaching through the noise and placing this message directly in your path. Because something is about to happen. And not later. Not someday. Not eventually. But soon. Closer than you think. And everything depends on what you allow into your spirit between now and 3:33 on July 26th. Archangel Michael has already stepped forward. His presence is not symbolic right now. It is active. Intelligible. Precise. He stands not as a distant guardian, but as a commander in motion, watching the patterns unfolding around your life. Watching the voices that surround you. Watching the energy shifting in your environment. And what he sees is urgency. Because there is a window opening. A very specific window. And most people will miss it. Not because they weren't chosen, but because they weren't paying attention. But you were stopped. You were slowed down. You were pulled into this moment. Have you noticed it lately? Something feels different, doesn't it? Conversations that used to feel normal now feel off. Voices that once sounded harmless now carry weight. Even silence feels louder than it used to. You've been sensing it. That subtle shift in the atmosphere. That unexplainable awareness. That feeling that something is building, something is approaching, but you can't quite name it. That's not anxiety. That's not overthinking. That is spiritual sensitivity activating inside you. Because before anything unlocks in your life, something must be heard. And what you hear in the coming hours will either align you or delay you. This is why this message found you. Not because you searched for it, but because heaven positioned it. Because there are voices already moving toward you. Conversations forming. Words being prepared. Some will sound familiar. Some will sound convincing. Some will even sound like truth. But not all voices carry alignment. And Archangel Michael is making this clear now. What you hear before 3:33 will determine what is allowed to open after it. That means this is not just about listening. This is about filtering. This is about recognizing that not every word deserves access to your spirit. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Not every voice deserves your agreement. Because right now your ears are a gateway. And what enters through them is being recorded, not just in your thoughts, but in your spiritual alignment. You may not realize it yet, but something has already started shifting around you. Subtle. Divine. Strategic. The kind of shift that doesn't announce itself, but reveals itself through patterns. Repeated numbers. Unusual timing. Unexpected thoughts. Moments that feel always guided. These are not coincidences. These are signals. And 3:33 is not just a number. It is a marker. A checkpoint. A line between what has been and what is about to be released. But here's the truth most people won't hear. The unlocking is not automatic. It responds. It responds to alignment. It responds to awareness. It responds to what you allow and what you reject in this exact window of time. That's why this moment matters. That's why you being here matters. Because while others scroll past, while others ignore, while others remain distracted, you were called to listen. And he sees it. Archangel Michael sees that you are still here, still listening, still open. And that tells him something important. You are not asleep to the shift. You are aware enough to receive. But now comes the real question: will you be aware enough to discern? Because what happens next, what unfolds after July 26, what doors open, what clarity arrives, what path becomes visible, it will all trace back to this moment, to what you chose to hear, to what you allowed in, to whether you treated this as noise or as instruction. So stay here, stay focused, stay aware, because this is only the beginning, and what's about to be revealed next will change the way you listen forever. Type "I am listening" in the comments if you feel this message. Blessing code 333 is now activating around you. There is a reason your eyes keep returning to that number, a reason it feels familiar, almost like it's calling you without using words. You've seen it before, haven't you? On clocks, on screens, in passing moments that felt too precise to ignore. 333. It didn't feel random then, and it is not random now. What you are encountering is not coincidence. It is activation. Because when Archangel Michael marks a moment, he does not do it symbolically. He does not do it casually. He does it with intention, with precision, and with divine authority. And right now, he is marking 333 as a code, one that is already moving, already unlocking, already aligning things around your life in ways you cannot yet fully see. This is not just a number. This is a signal that something has shifted in the spiritual realm, a signal that a gateway is opening, a signal that heaven has released a timing point, and everything connected to your next level is now responding to it. But here is what you must understand, and you must understand it deeply. Not everyone will recognize the code, not everyone will respond to it, and not everyone will benefit from what it unlocks. Because 333 does not force anything open. It responds. It reacts. It aligns only with those who are spiritually aware enough to receive it. That is why you are here. That is why this is being revealed to you now. Because 333 represents alignment between three dimensions: your thoughts, your voice, and your spirit. When those three come into agreement, something powerful happens. Something begins to unlock that cannot be accessed through effort alone. It requires synchronization. It requires awareness. It requires presence. And right now that alignment is being tested. You may have noticed it already. Moments where your thoughts don't match what you're hearing. Moments where your spirit feels resistance to certain voices. Moments where something inside you quietly says, "This doesn't feel right," even when everything on the surface seems normal. That is not confusion. That is calibration. Because 333 is not just a blessing point. It is a filtering point. It is where truth separates from noise. It is where clarity rises above distraction. It is where what is real becomes undeniable and what is false begins to lose its grip. Archangel Michael is standing at that mark, not passively, but actively observing what is aligning with you. He is not only watching what you do, he is watching what you receive. The conversations you entertain, the voices you agree with, the words you allow to settle into your spirit. All of it is being measured against this code. Because once 333 is reached, something responds. Doors that have been waiting begin to open. Answers that have been delayed begin to surface. Clarity that felt distant begins to move closer, but only if alignment has been established before the moment arrives. That is why this is urgent. That is why this cannot be ignored. Because most people think breakthroughs happen subtly. They think things just open without warning. But that is not how heaven operates. Heaven prepares, lines, and positions long before anything manifests. And 333 is one of those preparation points, a moment where the unseen begins to organize itself around what is about to be revealed. You are in that preparation window now, and this is where it becomes personal, because what you are experiencing lately is not random. The shift in your thoughts, the sensitivity in your spirit, the awareness of certain voices, all of it is part of this alignment process. You are being tuned. You are being adjusted. You are being brought into position so that when 333 arrives, you are not confused. You are not distracted. You are ready. But readiness requires responsibility. It requires you to recognize that what you hear, what you accept, what you internalize in this moment, matters more than you think. Because every word carries weight. Every voice carries influence. And every influence is either aligning you or pulling you away from alignment. That is why 333 feels different. That is why it keeps appearing. That is why it is being marked now. Because this is not just about time, it is about response. Archangel Michael is not asking you to fear this moment. He is asking you to respect it. To understand that something sacred has been placed in your timeline. Something intentional. Something precise. Something that will not repeat in the same way if ignored. And as this code activates, you may begin to notice even more signs. Subtle confirmations. Moments of clarity. Sudden realizations. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of alignment forming around you. So do not dismiss this. Do not overlook it. Do not treat it as just another number. Because 333 is now active. It is watching how you listen. It is responding to what you receive. And it is preparing to unlock what comes next. The only question is, will you be aligned when it does? Type I align with 333 in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3333 is now surrounding you. There are moments in time that carry more weight than others. Moments that are not just hours passing but divine windows opening. And what you must understand right now, what you must feel deeply, is that July 26th is not just another date on a calendar. It is a threshold, a line drawn in the spirit, a moment heaven has already marked, and it is approaching faster than most people realize. This is a countdown, not the kind you see with numbers flashing on a screen, but the kind you feel in your spirit, the kind that creates pressure, not fear but urgency, the kind that whispers to you, pay attention now because this will not wait. Archangel Michael has already stepped into position for this moment. He is not arriving when the day comes. He is already there, already watching, already preparing what is about to unfold. And as that day approaches, something begins to tighten in the unseen realm. Something begins to accelerate. Conversations begin to align. Opportunities begin to shift. Even distractions begin to increase. Have you noticed it? Things feel more intense lately. Small situations feel heavier. Decisions feel more important than usual. That is not random. That is the pressure of a closing window. Because here is the truth most people ignore. Divine windows do not stay open forever. They are not permanent. They are precise. They open for reason, and they close when that moment has passed. And when they close, What could have been accessed easily becomes delayed. Not denied, but delayed. And delay is what keeps people stuck in cycles they were meant to break. That is why this moment matters so much. Because between now and July 26th, you are not just living your normal life. You are standing inside a preparation period. A sacred stretch of time where everything is being measured. Everything is being weighed. Everything is being aligned for what will either unlock or remain locked. Archangel Michael is not forcing anything upon you. He is observing. He is watching how you respond to what is unfolding around you. He's watching how you handle the voices, the distractions, the sudden emotions, the unexpected conversations. Because all of these are not interruptions. They are indicators. Indicators of what is trying to pull you out of alignment before the moment arrives. Because if the enemy cannot stop what is coming, it will try to distract you before you reach it. And this is where many people fail. They do not recognize the importance of the window. They treat these days casually. They ignore the subtle shifts. They entertain every voice, every opinion, every distraction. And by the time the moment arrives, they are not aligned to receive what was prepared for them. But you are not being left unaware. You are being warned. You are being positioned. You are being made conscious of something most people will sleep through. Because July 26th is not just a date. It is a response point. A moment where what you have allowed into your spirit will begin to show results. A moment where alignment turns into manifestation. A moment where what you have been sensing becomes visible. And this is why the urgency feels so real. Because time is moving. Whether you are ready or not, the moment is approaching. But readiness changes everything. Readiness determines whether you step into clarity or remain in confusion. Whether doors open smoothly or feel blocked. Whether you recognize the opportunity or miss it entirely. And here is something you need to hear clearly. The window will not announce itself when it closes. There will be no loud signal. No dramatic ending. It will simply pass. And those who were aligned will move forward while those who were distracted will feel like nothing changed. But something didn't change. They just weren't in position to receive it. That is why you must take this seriously. Not with fear, but with awareness. Not with anxiety, but with focus. Because right now, every day leading up to July 26 carries weight. Every conversation matters. Every voice you listen to matters. Every decision you make is contributing to your alignment or your delay. You are not just passing time. You are preparing for a moment that has already been prepared for you. And Archangel Michael is making this clear. The window is open now, but it is closing. So stay alert. Stay intentional. Stay aware of what you allow into your spirit. Because when that moment arrives, there will be no time to go back and adjust. Only to receive or to realize you were not ready. And you were not brought this far just to miss it now. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you feel the urgency of this moment. Blessing code 726 is now activating around your timeline. As this window of July 26 draws closer, understand this. Every seed you sow in this moment becomes light for someone else standing in darkness. When you choose to support this mission through Super Thanks with the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are opening doors for souls who are still waiting to hear what you are hearing right now. The word says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days," and this is that moment where your obedience becomes someone else's breakthrough. I feel it deeply, and I speak it boldly. When you move in faith right now, heaven responds in ways you cannot yet imagine. This is your moment to act, not later, not eventually, but now. because the same urgency on this message is flowing through your spirit. As you give, you are aligning yourself with the very window that is opening before you. So step forward in obedience, release your seed through PayPal or Super Thanks, and watch how God multiplies what you place in His hands. There is something happening right now that most people will never notice. It is quiet. It is subtle. It does not announce itself with noise or chaos, but it is powerful, and it is already unfolding around you. Because as this moment approaches, as July 26th draws closer, battle has already begun. Not around your hands, not around your actions, but around your ears. Because what you hear in this window of time is not casual. It is not random conversation. It is not meaningless noise passing through your day. No, what you hear right now is being positioned. Carefully, strategically, intentionally. And every word that reaches you is carrying something with it, either alignment or interference. Archangel Michael is not just watching what you do. He is watching what you allow into your spirit, because he understands something that many overlook. Before anything manifests in your life, it first enters through what you hear. And that is why the pressure has increased. That is why conversations feel different. That is why certain voices seem louder than usual. Because there is a competition happening, one you cannot see but one you can feel. A competition between truth and distraction, between clarity and confusion, between voices that are meant to guide you and voices that are meant to delay you. And the difference between them is not always obvious. Some voices will sound familiar. Some will come from people you trust. Some will even appear supportive on the surface. But beneath the surface they carry doubt. They carry fear. They carry limitation. And if you are not aware, you will absorb what was never meant for you. This is why this moment requires discernment. Because not everything that reaches your ears deserves access to your spirit. And right now access is everything. You may have already experienced it. A sudden conversation that shifted your mood. A comment that lingered longer than it should have. A voice that made you question something you were once certain about. These are not small moments. These are entry points. Because every word you accept begins to shape your internal alignment. And your alignment is what determines what unlocks next. Archangel Michael is making this clear. The battle is not about stopping your progress. It is about influencing your perception before the moment arrives. Because if your perception shifts, your alignment shifts. And if your alignment shifts, what is meant to unlock can be delayed. That is why you must become aware of what you are hearing. Not just the words, but the energy behind them. Not just the message, but the intention carried within it. Because some voices are not sent to guide you. They are sent to test you. To see if you will agree. To see if you will internalize. To see if you will allow something into your spirit that does not belong there. And here is the truth you need to hold on to. Agreement is powerful. What you agree with, you empower. What you accept, you activate. And what you repeatedly hear begins to feel like truth, even when it is not. That is why this window is so critical. Because between now and 3:33 on July 26th, your ears are being tested. Not in a way that is obvious, but in a way that is precise. Conversations will come. Opinions will surface. Voices will try to position themselves in your awareness. And you will have a choice, not always spoken, but always present. Will you receive this or will you reject it? Will you allow this to shape you or will you filter it out? Will you stay aligned or will you drift? These choices are not dramatic. They are subtle, but their impact is significant. Because what you allow now determines what responds later. And this is where many people lose their alignment. Not through major mistakes, but through small agreements. Through listening without filtering. Through absorbing without questioning. Through allowing every voice equal access to their spirit. But you are not being called to do that. You are being called to be intentional. To recognize that your ears are a gateway. To understand that not every voice deserves entry. To become aware that what you hear right now is shaping what will unlock next. Archangel Michael is not asking you to isolate yourself from the world. He is asking you to become conscious within it. To listen with awareness. To discern with clarity. To recognize that this is not just a normal moment. It is a defining one. Because something is coming. Something that will respond directly to your alignment. And your alignment is being formed right now through what you hear. So listen carefully. Pay attention to what enters your space. Notice how certain words make you feel. Notice what brings clarity and what brings confusion. Because your spirit already knows the difference. And the more you trust that awareness, the stronger your alignment becomes. You are not powerless in this moment. You are positioned. You are aware. You are being guided. But guidance only works when it is followed. So guard your ears. Filter what you receive. And stay aligned with what feels true, not just what sounds convincing. Because what you hear before then is already determining what unlocks next. Type "I guard my ears" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 444 is now surrounding your awareness. There is something you must begin to recognize now, and you must recognize it with clarity, not confusion. Not every voice that speaks to you is meant to guide you. Not every word that reaches your ears carries truth. And in this moment, this very window leading up to July 26th, the difference between what is true and what is distracting has never mattered more. Because both voices are present. Both are active. Both are speaking. And if you are not careful, they can sound almost the same. The voice of distraction does not always come loudly. It does not always announce itself as negativity. In fact, most of the time, it sounds reasonable. It sounds logical. It sounds familiar. It may even come from people who have been in your life for years. That is what makes it dangerous. Because distraction rarely appears as something you would reject immediately. It appears as something you might consider. Something you might entertain. Something you might allow to linger just long enough to shift your alignment. And that is all it needs. Just a small opening. Just a moment of agreement. Just a slight shift in your perception. Because once distraction enters your awareness, it begins to work quietly. It begins to plant doubt where there was once clarity. It begins to introduce hesitation where there was once confidence. It begins to create noise where there was once peace. And before you even realize it, your alignment starts to drift. Not drastically, not all at once, but subtly. And subtle shifts are the most powerful because they often go unnoticed until the moment has passed. But the voice of truth operates differently. It does not confuse you. It does not pressure you. It does not overwhelm you. The voice of truth brings clarity, even when the message is challenging. It brings peace, even when it calls you to change. It does not leave you in chaos. It anchors you. It does not scatter your thoughts. It centers them. And even when it corrects you, it strengthens you. That is how you recognize it. Not by how loud it is, but by how it settles your spirit. Archangel Michael is making this distinction clear now because this is where your discernment must rise. You cannot afford to treat every voice equally in this moment. You cannot afford to give access to anything that sounds convincing without first feeling whether it is aligned. Because truth resonates. Distraction agitates. Truth stabilizes. Distraction unsettles. Truth gives direction. Distraction creates loops, repeated thoughts, repeated doubts, repeated questions that never seem to resolve. And this is where many lose their alignment. Not because they choose distraction intentionally, but because they fail to recognize it when it appears disguised as something harmless. A casual comment, an opinion shared without intention, a suggestion that seems helpful on the surface, but underneath it carries misalignment. And when you receive it without filtering, it begins to shape your thinking, and your thinking shapes your alignment. This is why Archangel Michael is emphasizing this now. You must become aware of how voices make you feel, not just what they say. Because words can be polished. Words can be persuasive. Words can sound right while carrying the wrong energy. But your spirit knows. Your spirit always knows. You have felt it before, that moment when something didn't sit right, even though you couldn't explain why. That is not confusion. That is discernment trying to speak before your mind catches up. And in this moment you must trust that, because truth will never need to force itself into your awareness. It will resonate naturally. It will align without pressure. It will confirm what your spirit already senses. But distraction will try to rush you. It will try to make you question yourself. It will try to pull you into overthinking, into analyzing, into second-guessing what was once clear. And if you follow that path, you begin to move away from alignment without realizing it. That is why this moment requires stillness. Not silence from the world, but stillness within yourself. Because when you are still, you can hear clearly. You can recognize what is aligned and what is not. You can feel the difference between truth and distraction without needing external validation. And this is what prepares you for what is coming. Because when 3:33 arrives, there will not be time to sort through confusion. There will not be time to undo misalignment. What has been established in your spirit will respond immediately. That is why this preparation matters. That is why your awareness matters. That is why your discernment matters. Because the voice you follow now determines the path that opens next. So listen carefully, not just with your ear but with your spirit. Notice what brings clarity. Notice what creates peace. Notice what strengthens your awareness. And just as importantly, notice what creates doubt, confusion, and inner tension. Because one is guiding you forward, and the other is trying to delay you. And in this moment you already have the ability to tell the difference. You just have to trust it. Type "I choose truth" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 555 is now aligning your discernment. There is a position in the spirit that most people never see, never feel, and never understand until it is too late. It is not a place you arrive at physically. It is not something you can point to with your eyes. But it is real. It is active. And right now you are standing very close to it. It is the gate. Not a metaphor. Not an idea. But a spiritual threshold, a dividing line between where you have been and where you are about to go. And standing at that gate, not symbolically, but with full authority, is Archangel Michael. He is not distant in this moment. He is not observing from afar. He is positioned, deliberately, intentionally, watching what approaches this gate and, more importantly, what is allowed to pass through it. Because not everything from your past is meant to enter your next level. Not every mindset, not every attachment, not every voice, and certainly not every influence. This is why the gate exists, not to block you, but to filter what continues with you. And Archangel Michael stands there as a guardian, not against you but for you, protecting what is ahead of you from what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. But here is what you must understand clearly. The gate does not open automatically. It responds. It responds to alignment. It responds to readiness. It responds to what you have allowed to remain within you and what you have chosen to release. Because as you approach this threshold, something begins to happen internally. You start to feel a separation, a distance between who you were and who you are becoming. Things that once felt normal now feel heavy. Conversations that once felt comfortable now feel draining. Even certain environments begin to feel misaligned. That is not loss. That is transition. That is the indication that you are nearing the gate. And this is where many hesitate, because the gate requires clarity. It requires decision. It requires you to recognize that you cannot carry everything forward. Some things must be left behind, not because they were always wrong, but because they are no longer aligned with where you are being taken. Archangel Michael is not forcing these decisions upon you. He is observing your willingness to make them. He is watching whether you will continue to hold on to what is familiar or step into what is necessary. Because what is familiar often feels safe, but what is necessary leads to growth. And growth is what the gate responds to. This is why the tension has been increasing. This is why you feel pulled in two directions at times. Part of you is ready to move forward. Part of you still feels connected to what you have known. And that tension is the space between where you are and where you are being called. But here is the truth you must hold on to. The gate does not reject you. It reveals you. It reveals your readiness. It reveals your alignment. It reveals whether you are prepared to step into what is waiting or whether you are still anchored to what must be released. And Archangel Michael stands there, not with judgment, but with precision. He is not deciding your outcome. He is responding to your alignment. He is ensuring that what enters your next level supports it, strengthens it, and sustains it. Because what is coming next for you is not fragile, but it is intentional. It requires clarity. It requires focus. It requires a level of alignment that cannot coexist with confusion or distraction. And that is why the gate is guarded. Not to deny you access, but to protect what is ahead from anything that could disrupt it. This is why what you hear, what you accept, and what you carry right now matters so deeply. Because everything you allow into your spirit is approaching that gate with you. Every belief, every voice, every influence, it all arrives at the threshold. And in that moment it is either allowed through or it is left behind. You may not see this happening, but you can feel it. You can feel the weight of certain things becoming harder to carry. You can feel the clarity of certain truths becoming stronger within you. You can feel the pull toward something greater even if you cannot fully define it yet. That is the gate, calling you forward. That is the shift preparing you. That is Archangel Michael holding position, ensuring that when you cross you are not divided within yourself. Because division creates delay, but alignment creates movement. And movement is what opens the gate. So do not resist what you are feeling. Do not ignore the separation taking place. Do not try to hold on to everything out of comfort or familiarity. Because you are not losing. You are being positioned. You are being refined. You are being aligned for what is waiting on the other side. And when the moment comes when 333 aligns with your readiness, the gate will not hesitate. It will respond. It will open. And what has been held back will begin to move forward. But until then, stay aware. Stay aligned. Stay willing to release what no longer fits. Because Archangel Michael is standing at the gate, and what passes through it next will define everything that follows. Type "I am ready to cross" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 636 is now activating at your threshold. There is something unfolding around you right now that you cannot hear with your physical ears, but your spirit has already begun to sense it. It is subtle, almost invisible, yet deeply influential. Because not all conversations happen in front of you. Not all words are spoken where you can hear them. And yet they still carry weight. They still carry influence. They still attempt to shape what unfolds in your life. This is what Archangel Michael is revealing in this moment. There are conversations happening around you. Some physical, some spiritual, that are directly connected to your alignment, your timing, and what is about to unlock next. And the reason this matters is because what is spoken about you, around you, and even over you, carries energy. It carries intention. It carries influence. And influence, if left unrecognized, can begin to shape outcomes. You may have already felt this, that unexplainable shift in someone's tone, that subtle change in how people respond to you, that feeling that something is being said even when nothing is directly spoken. This is not imagination. This is awareness. Because your spirit has begun to pick up on something deeper than surface-level interaction. It has begun to recognize that not everything happening around you is visible. That there are layers to what you are experiencing. Layers of conversation. Layers of intention, layers of influence that exist beyond what is obvious. Archangel Michael is not showing this to create fear. He is revealing this to create clarity. Because when you are unaware of what surrounds you, you can be influenced without realizing it. But when you are aware, you are no longer passive, you become intentional. You begin to recognize what aligns and what does not. And right now, awareness is everything. Because as you move closer to July 26th, these hidden conversations increase. Not randomly, but strategically. Words begin to circulate. Opinions begin to form. Energies begin to shift. And while you may not hear every word, you will feel the effect if you are not grounded. That is why your alignment must remain internal. Not dependent on what others say, not shaken by what others think, not influenced by conversations you were never meant to be part of. Because here is the truth, not every conversation about you deserves your response. Not every opinion about you deserves your attention. And not every word spoken around you has authority over your path. But it can feel like it does if you are not centered. This is why Archangel Michael is emphasizing stillness within you. Because when you are still, you are not easily moved by what is happening outside of you. You are not easily influenced by unseen conversations. You are not easily pulled into reacting to things you cannot fully confirm. Instead, you remain aligned. You remain grounded. You remain aware that your direction is not determined by external voices, but by internal clarity. Because what is spoken in hidden places only gains power when it is received internally. And if you do not receive it, it cannot shape you. This is where your strength lies. Not in controlling what others say, but in controlling what you accept. Not in reacting to every shift, but in remaining stable within your alignment. Because the closer you get to a breakthrough, the more noise can surround you. Not always directly, but indirectly. Through conversations that circle around your name. Through assumptions that are made without your presence. Through interpretations that are formed without your truth. But none of that has the authority to define what is coming next, unless you allow it. That is why this moment requires confidence, not in others, but in your alignment. Confidence that what you are sensing internally is more accurate than what is being said externally. Confidence that your direction is not dependent on approval, validation, or understanding from others. Because what is being prepared for you is not based on their conversations, it is based on your alignment. And Archangel Michael is ensuring that your alignment remains intact. He is not silencing every voice around you, but he is strengthening your ability to remain unaffected by what does not serve you. So if you feel something shifting, do not panic. If you sense something unspoken, do not react. If you notice changes around you, do not lose your center, because not everything needs your response. Some things only require your awareness, and your awareness is what keeps you aligned. You are not here to chase clarity in external conversations. You are here to maintain clarity within yourself. Because when 3:33 arrives, what matters is not what was said around you, but what remained within you. What you held on to, what you believed, what you allowed to stay rooted in your spirit. That is what will respond. That is what will unlock. That is what will move forward with you. So stay grounded. Stay aware. Stay aligned with what you know internally to be true. Because while others may speak, your alignment will speak louder. And what is meant for you will not be altered by conversations that were never aligned with you in the first place. Type "I remain aligned" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 777 is now strengthening your spiritual awareness. Something has been changing inside you and you have felt it. Not loudly, not grammatically, but consistently, quietly, deeply. It is that subtle difference you cannot fully explain. That feeling that you are not the same as you were before, even if everything around you looks the same. That sense that something within you has awakened, even if you cannot yet define what it is. This is not confusion. This is not imagination. This is transformation. Because before an external shift takes place, an internal shift must occur first. And what you have been experiencing lately is not random emotion. It is spiritual preparation. It is your inner world being recalibrated for what is about to unfold. Archangel Michael is revealing this now because many people misinterpret this stage. They think something is wrong because they feel different. They think they are losing clarity because their thoughts are changing. They think they are becoming disconnected because certain things no longer feel the same. But the truth is you are not losing yourself. You are outgrowing what no longer aligns. That is why things feel unfamiliar. That is why your reactions have changed. That is why certain conversations drain you faster. That is why your tolerance for noise, distraction, and confusion has decreased. Because your spirit is no longer operating at the same level it once did. It is rising. It is refining. It is becoming more aware. And with that awareness comes separation. Not necessarily from people, but from patterns. From old ways of thinking. From automatic responses. From things that once felt normal but now feel misaligned. This is the internal shift. And it is necessary. Because what is coming next requires a different version of you. A more aware version. A more aligned version. A version of you that can recognize truth quickly and reject distraction without hesitation. And that version of you is forming now. You may have noticed it in small ways. Moments where you paused before responding. Moments where you questioned something you would have accepted before. Moments where you chose silence instead of reaction. These are not small changes. They are indicators of alignment strengthening within you. Because alignment is not just about what you do. It is about who you are becoming internally. And that process is happening right now. But here is where many become uncomfortable. Because transformation does not always feel stable at first. It can feel like you are in between two versions of yourself. One that is familiar and one that is still forming. And the space in between can feel uncertain. But it is not uncertainty. It is transition. And transition always carries a level of discomfort because it requires release. It requires letting go of what you have known before fully stepping into what you are becoming. This is why you may feel moments of emotional fluctuation. Moments where you feel clear and then suddenly reflective. Moments where you feel focused and then suddenly aware of things you had ignored before. This is not instability. This is awareness expanding. Because as your alignment increases, your sensitivity to truth also increases. You begin to notice things you once overlooked. You begin to feel what aligns and what does not without needing external confirmation. And that is exactly what you need for what is coming. Because when 333 arrives, there will not be time to question your discernment. There will not be time to second-guess your awareness. You will need to trust what you feel immediately. You will need to recognize alignment instantly. And this internal shift is preparing you for that. It is strengthening your ability to listen, not just externally, but internally. To recognize clarity, not just through words, but through feeling. To remain steady, even when external circumstances fluctuate. This is why Archangel Michael is not trying to remove this process. He is guiding you through it. Because this shift is not something to resist. It is something to embrace. Even when it feels unfamiliar. Even when it feels like you are changing faster than you expected. Even when it feels like you are stepping away from what once felt normal. Because what is ahead of you is not designed for who you were. It is designed for who you are becoming. And that version of you is forming right now. So trust the shift. Trust the changes within you. Trust the awareness that is rising. Because you are not being pulled away from yourself. You are being brought closer to your true alignment. And when the moment arrives, you will not feel lost. You will feel ready. You will feel clear. You will feel aligned in a way that makes everything before it makes sense. So do not question this process. Do not try to return to what feels comfortable. Do not ignore what you are sensing within. Because this internal shift is not random. It is preparation. And it is leading you exactly where you need to be. Type "I trust the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 888 is now stabilizing your spirit. As your spirit shifts and aligns in this sacred moment, understand this truth. Every act of giving becomes a seed planted in divine soil, releasing light into lives still searching for clarity. When you support this mission through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not just helping a message, you are becoming part of a spiritual harvest that reaches souls who are still lost in confusion. The word declares, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy," and today, your seed becomes someone else's breakthrough, someone else's answered prayer. I feel this deeply, and I speak it directly to you. This is your moment to respond, not with hesitation, but with obedience. What you release now will return to you in ways you cannot yet see. Let your giving become a prophetic action that aligns you even deeper with what God is doing in this hour. Step forward now, release your seed through PayPal or Super Thanks, and watch how heaven responds to your faith. There comes a point in every spiritual transition where awareness alone is no longer enough. Where sensing the shift, feeling the difference, and recognizing the change within you must evolve into something stronger. That point is where you are now. Because what you are stepping into requires more than awareness. It requires discernment. Discernment is not just the ability to notice something. It is the ability to decide. To decide what belongs and what does not. To decide what aligns and what must be rejected. To decide, in real time, what is guiding you forward and what is quietly pulling you away. And right now, this ability is not optional. It is essential. Because as July 26th approaches, and as the moment of 3:33 draws closer, the volume of voices does not decrease, it increases. Opportunities, conversations, thoughts, suggestions, even internal impulses begin to surface more frequently. And not all of them are meant to be followed. This is where many people lose clarity, not because they lack awareness, but because they lack decision. They feel the difference, but they hesitate to act on it. They sense misalignment, but they allow it to remain. They recognize distraction, but they do not reject it. And in that hesitation, alignment weakens. But you are not being called to hesitate. You are being called to choose. Because discernment is activated through choice. It is not passive. It is not something that simply exists. It is something you use. And the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Archangel Michael is making this clear now because this is the stage where your alignment becomes intentional. No longer something you are just experiencing, but something you are actively maintaining. This means you must begin to trust what you feel internally without needing external confirmation. When something feels clear, receive it. When something feels off, reject it. Not analyze it endlessly, and not question it repeatedly, but recognize it and respond. Because your spirit already knows the difference. It had been showing you all along. Through subtle discomfort, through quiet clarity, through moments where something simply did not sit right even if it sounded correct on the surface. That is discernment trying to guide you. But guidance only works when it is followed. And this is where the key unlocks. Because discernment is not just about avoiding what is wrong, it is about protecting what is right. Protecting your alignment. Protecting your clarity. Protecting your ability to remain centered in a moment where everything is trying to influence you. You must understand this deeply. Not everything that appears as an opportunity is aligned for you. Not every conversation that invites your attention deserves your participation. Not every thought that enters your mind deserves your agreement. Discernment allows you to filter, to pause, to recognize before reacting. And that pause is powerful, because in that pause, you are not controlled by impulse, you are guided by awareness. And that is what keeps you aligned. This is why Archangel Michael is not asking you to rush through this moment. He is asking you to be intentional within it, to take the time to feel what is being presented to you, to notice how it resonates within your spirit before you accept it. Because once something is accepted, it begins to influence. And influence shapes alignment. And alignment determines what unlocks. So the question is no longer, what is happening around me? The question becomes, what am I allowing within me? Because that is where your control exists. That is where your power remains. And that is where discernment operates. You may feel this becoming stronger within you already. That quicker recognition, that immediate knowing, that reduced tolerance for confusion, that increased desire for clarity. These are not random changes. They are signs that your discernment is strengthening. And as it strengthens, your alignment stabilizes. And as your alignment stabilizes, your readiness increases. And as your readiness increases, the moment ahead begins to respond. This is how the process works. Not through force, not through urgency alone, but through alignment guided by discernment. So do not ignore what you feel. Do not override your internal signals. Do not allow doubt to silence your awareness. Because everything you need to recognize truth is already within you. You just have to trust it. And when you trust it, you begin to move differently. You begin to choose differently. You begin to filter without hesitation. And that is what prepares you for what is about to unlock. Because when 3:33 arrives, there will be no time to second guess, only to receive what aligns. And your discernment is what ensures that you are ready. Type "I discern" clearly in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 999 is now activating your spiritual clarity. There is something difficult that must be said in this moment, something that many avoid hearing, but something you need to understand clearly if you are going to fully grasp the weight of what is unfolding around you. Because while there is an opening, while there is alignment forming, while there is a moment being prepared for you, there is also a consequence if it is ignored. Not punishment, not rejection, but delay. And delay is far more subtle and far more dangerous than most people realize. Because when a moment like this passes, life does not stop. Everything continues as normal on the surface. Conversations still happen. Days still move forward. Nothing appears dramatically different. But internally something has shifted. An opportunity that was once within reach becomes distant again. A clarity that was forming becomes clouded. A path that was opening begins to feel uncertain. Not because it was taken away, but because it was not received. This is what happens when alignment is missed. The door does not disappear, it simply waits. And waiting creates cycles. Cycles of honest understanding, but not fully. Cycles of progress followed by confusion. Cycles of sensing something greater but never quite stepping into it. You may have experienced this before. Moments where you felt close to something significant, something meaningful, something that felt like a breakthrough, but then somehow it faded. Not suddenly, but gradually, until it became just another moment that passed. That is not coincidence. That is misalignment. And it often happens not because of one major decision, but because of small moments of distraction. Small agreements with voices that were not aligned. Small hesitations where action was required. Small instances where awareness was present but not followed. And over time those small moments accumulate. They create delay. They create distance. They create the feeling of being close but not quite there. This is why this moment matters so much. Because what is being presented to you right now is not just another opportunity. It is a precise alignment point. A moment that hath been prepared specifically, intentionally, and temporarily. And temporary means it will not stay open indefinitely. Archangel Michael is not revealing this to create fear within you. He is revealing it to create responsibility. To make you aware that what you are experiencing is not casual. That what you are sensing is not random. That what is approaching carries weight. Because if you treat this moment lightly, it will pass quietly. And when it passes, it will not announce itself. It will simply close. And you will only recognize it in hindsight. Through questions like, what happened? Why does it feel like something shifted? Why do I feel like I missed something I cannot explain? That is what delay feels like. Not loss but distance. Not absence but disconnection from what was once within reach. And the most important truth you need to understand is this. Delay does not mean it is over. It means it has moved. Moved forward. Moved beyond the moment where it could have been accessed easily. And now requires more time, more alignment, more preparation to reach again. That is why this moment is so valuable. Because right now access is available. Clarity is forming. Alignment is possible. But it requires participation. It requires awareness followed by action. It requires you to not just hear but respond. And response does not always mean doing something external. Sometimes it means choosing differently, filtering more carefully, rejecting what does not align without hesitation, trusting what you feel internally without delay. Because these small responses are what create readiness. and readiness is what allows the moment to fully open. But if those responses are ignored, if awareness is dismissed, if discernment is silenced, then the moment passes. Not dramatically, not forcefully, but quietly. And what could have been a shift becomes another cycle. And cycles are what keep people in places they were meant to move beyond. This is why Archangel Michael is emphasizing this now. Not to pressure you, but to prepare you. To make it clear that you are standing in front of something that matters. Something that will respond to your alignment or your distraction. Something that will either move you forward or leave you where you are. And you are not here by accident. You are not hearing this by chance. You have been made aware for a reason. Because awareness gives you the ability to choose. To step into alignment intentionally. To recognize the weight of this moment and respond accordingly. So do not ignore what you are sensing. Do not delay what you know internally. Do not treat this as something that can be revisited later. Because this moment is now. And what you do with it determines what happens next. Type "I will not miss this" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now anchoring your alignment. There is a moment coming, and it is closer than you think, where everything that has been building quietly beneath the surface begins to respond. Not solely, not vaguely, but clearly, decisively, powerfully. And this is what you must understand now. When alignment is established before 3:33, the unlocking does not struggle to happen, it flows. Because alignment removes resistance. It clears interference. It positions you in a way where what was once delayed no longer has anything holding it back. This is what most people misunderstand about breakthroughs. They think they are forced open. They think they require effort, pressure, and constant pushing. But the truth is, when alignment is correct, things do not have to be forced. They respond naturally. They open because you are ready. They move because you are aligned. They reveal themselves because nothing within you is resisting them anymore. And that is what this entire process has been preparing you for. Every shift you have felt, every moment of awareness, every instance where you chose to filter instead of absorb, every time you trusted your discernment instead of ignoring it, all of it has been aligning you for this moment. And when 3:33 arrives, that alignment becomes visible, not just internally, but externally. You begin to notice it in ways that cannot be ignored. Things that once felt complicated become simple. Decisions that once felt unclear become obvious. Paths that once seemed blocked begin to open without resistance. And it does not feel chaotic. It feels natural. It feels right. It feels like everything is finally moving in the direction it was always meant to. That is the sign of true alignment. It does not create confusion. It removes it. It does not overwhelm. It clarifies. It does not force. It allows. And this is where the unlocking begins. Because what had been waiting, what had been held in position, what had been prepared for you is not released randomly. It responds to readiness. It responds to clarity. It responds to the state you are in when the moment arrives. That is why this preparation has been so important. Because when you are aligned, you do not hesitate. You do not question. You do not second-guess what you feel. You recognize it immediately. And recognition is what allows you to step forward without delay. You may have experienced moments like this before, brief flashes, where everything made sense at once, where clarity arrived without explanation, where you knew exactly what to do without needing to analyze it. That is what this moment expands into. But this time it does not pass quickly. It stabilizes. It stays. Because you are prepared to hold it. And this is where things begin to shift in a deeper way. Because the unlocking is not just about external opportunities, it is about internal certainty, a level of clarity that does not depend on external confirmation, a level of confidence that is not shaken by outside opinions, a level of alignment that remains steady even when circumstances change. This is what allows everything else to fall. Because when you are certain, you move differently. When you are clear, you choose differently. When you are aligned, you recognize what belongs to you without needing to chase it. And that is what makes the unlocking powerful. It is not about gaining something new. It is about stepping into what has already been prepared, without resistance, without confusion, without delay. And Archangel Michael is standing at that moment, not as a gatekeeper holding things back, but as a witness to your alignment, watching as everything that has been filtered, refined, and prepared within you now allows what is next to move forward. This is why nothing can replace alignment. Not effort, not intention alone, not desire, because alignment is what connects everything. It is what brings timing, clarity, and readiness into the same moment. And when that happens, the unlocking is inevitable. So as this moment approaches, understand this clearly. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are aligning for something to respond. And the more aligned you are, the more naturally everything begins to move. That is why you feel what you feel. That is why you have been guided through this process. That is why your awareness has been increasing. Because you are not being prepared for confusion. You are being prepared for clarity. And when that clarity arrives, you will not need to search for what comes next. It will reveal itself. It will align with you. It will meet you at the exact level you have reached. And that is when you will understand why this moment mattered, why this preparation was necessary, why everything had to align before it could unlock. So stay steady, stay clear, stay aligned with what you know internally. Because when 3:33 arrives, everything that is ready will begin to move. And you will not miss it. You will recognize it. You will step into it. And you will move forward with it. Type "I am aligned and ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1133 is now activating your next level. This is the moment where everything becomes clear. Not gradually, not partially, but completely. Because you have been led through awareness, through preparation, through discernment, through internal shifting, all for this final realization. You are now standing at a decision point. Not a dramatic one. Not one that announces itself loudly, but one that is deeply real, deeply personal, and deeply defining. Because everything that has been spoken, everything that has been revealed, everything that you have felt building within you has been leading to this exact question. Will you step into alignment now, or will you remain where you have been? And this is not about fear. This is not about pressure. This is about truth. Because repetition does not come from lack of opportunity. It comes from lack of response. It comes from moments where awareness was present but not followed. Where clarity was available but not acted on. Where alignment was possible but not chosen. And over time, those moments create cycles. Cycles where things feel familiar. Cycles where progress feels close but never complete. Cycles where you sense something greater but never fully step into it. Not because it was unavailable, but because alignment was delayed. And now you are being given the opportunity to break that pattern. Right here. Right now. Because this moment is not just another message. It is a call. A direct call to step into what you already know internally. To stop hesitating. To stop second-guessing. To stop allowing distraction to carry equal weight as truth. Because you already feel the difference. You already recognize what aligns. You already sense what must be released. That awareness is not accidental. It is intentional. It is guidance. And now it requires response. Because stepping into alignment is not something that happens automatically. It is something you choose. You choose it in what you listen to. You choose it in what you accept. You choose it in what you allow to remain within you. And you choose it in what you are willing to leave behind. This is the moment where those choices become clear. Where you no longer move unconsciously. Where you no longer allow everything equal access. Where you no longer remain in patterns that no longer serve your direction. Because what is ahead of you requires clarity. It requires stability. It requires a version of you that is not divided. And that version of you is ready now. Not later. Not after more signs. Not after more confirmation. Now. Because everything you needed to recognize this moment has already been given. Through what you have felt. Through what you have sensed. Through what has been revealed to you step by step. And Archangel Michael stands at this final point not to decide for you but to witness your decision. To witness whether you will step forward with alignment or remain within repetition. Because both paths are available. One leads forward. One keeps you where you are. And the difference between them is not external. It is internal. It is the decision you make within yourself. To trust what you know. To follow what you feel. To align with what has been revealed. And to move forward without hesitation. Because hesitation is what keeps cycles alive. But decision is what breaks them. This is why this moment matters. Because it is not just about what happens at 3:33. It is about who you are when it arrives. Whether you are clear or uncertain. Aligned or divided. Ready or still holding on to what must be released. And that choice is being made now. Not later. Now. To step into it. Fully. Without hesitation. Without doubt. Without looking back at what you already know does not align. Because what is ahead of you is not waiting for uncertainty. It is responding to clarity. And clarity is what you hold in this moment. So do not delay. Do not question what you already recognize. Do not return to what you have already outgrown. Because this is your moment to move forward. To step out of repetition. To step into alignment. And to allow what has been prepared to finally respond. You are ready. You have been prepared. Now you must decide. Type "I step into alignment" now in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now sealing your decision. As you step out of repetition and into divine alignment, understand this sacred truth. Every seed you release becomes a spark that ignites light in someone else's darkness. When you give through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a message. You are activating a movement where souls are awakened, restored, and brought back into alignment with God's voice. The Lord declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not just written. It is alive, speaking directly into your moment right now. I feel this strongly, and I speak it over you. Your act of giving is not financial. It is prophetic. It is obedience. It is alignment in motion. This is your moment to respond with faith, to release what is in your hand so heaven can release what is already prepared for you. Do not wait for another sign. The window is open, and your response matters now. Step forward, sow your seed through PayPal or Super Thanks, and watch how God multiplies your obedience into overflow.